Okay, hi everyone. I hope I am audible to each one of you. If you can listen to me, you can just keep reacting or you can keep posting some messages or comments. I think that will get me knowing that I am audible to you and visible to you at the very same time. Swam or Sashwat, I would love to have a. Yeah, okay. Uh, yeah, that's the spirit. Hi everyone, my name is Komal Tiwari and I am a final year undergrad student at KIT University. I am also a MLOps intern at this great hot AI company of India, which is Sarvam.ai. I have been associated with TFUG since I first time met Swayam via GDG, and TFUG has been one of the major parts of my career lives because I remember when TFUG first organized and I went for my college and they had come down our college and they had a great event at our college and with the participation supporting more than 250 plus people from our college. We still talk about them, our faculty advisor, everyone in the community of our college was really happy of how they performed and everything else. This is an opportunity that I would really cherish, where I have gotten chance to present myself on this Build with AI event that TFUG is organizing. Considering what AI has been doing so far, it's truly exciting and passionate. For all the developers, students, researchers, the enthusiasts of AI and ML to actually come along in a common setup environment like this and interact with something like that and share thoughts about something very interesting and very ongoing and that is something that you actually want to be a part of. Talking about this community, again, this is a community which is supported by Google, and we all come together to learn, share, grow in the fields of TensorFlow, AI, machine learning, and just include and name it, and you have it over here. The goal was to build a vibrant and collaborative tech ecosystem right here in Odisha, where everything uh, is going forward with so much advancement and everything. Today's event is packed with amazing sessions, hands-on workshops, and talks delivered by great people invited like Lalit from Involead and Himansu, who I personally know, who is in the same firm as mine, and I have learned a lot from the person from Sarvam.ai. Before we dive into it, I would like to thank the organizers for the event, the TFUG people, Sashu Swayam, and I would also thank them for giving me this opportunity to host and be a part of it. which is beautiful in itself. I would also like to give a huge thanks to all of you being here and making this community stronger. Okay, yeah. Sometimes a quick heads up from your team gives you a good motivation to go on because coming back to the online system, the only thing that still haunts me is the fact that my microphone was not turned off and I was speaking for the last 10 minutes. Yeah, great. I think we've had enough of a, you know, uh, interaction via this. It would be really nice if we clearly dive into the first session that we have tonight, today morning. Just the okay. Okay, I think I'll get going with the first session. To keep this session really interactive, we will be having multiple quizzes, we will be having interactive sessions, and we will be taking up your questions as well. Uh, while we are conveying our thoughts and something cracks up your mind and you really want to know about what this is AI actually going to take over human beings? Are we going to be the slaves of AI or anything that cracks up your mind? Do not hesitate to question that to our speakers or to post that in the channel or to post that as a comment. We would love to have the lamest of all the questions today. Let's just encourage questioning today. Let's just encourage interactive sessions today where we know that you are interested in hearing us out, and we are absolutely delighted to answer all of your questions and queries on the same time. Kicking, moving on or kickstarting, the first thing that we have to today morning is I would love you all to join me in welcoming Mr. Lalit, who comes from a great company called Involead that's making a strong stride in the world of data driven solutions. Today, Lalit will be sharing his insights on unlocking data conversations. This is an incredible topic in itself. It is very relevant to today's world where data is at the heart of every major innovation and decision making process. So, hi and Namaste Bhubaneswar. Join me in welcoming Lalit. With his experience working closely with businesses to harness the power of data, Lalit will guide us on how can we better understand, communicate, and drive an impact through our data conversations. On to you, Lalit. Let's give a warm welcome to him and welcome you. On to you, Lalit.
Hey, hi, Kamal. Thanks for the beautiful intro. So, should we get started or how exactly you want to start? Should we start presenting, then go on, or hello, can you hear me? Hello. Hey, hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, Lalit. You are clearly audible to all of us.
Hey, sorry for. Thanks, Komal, for the beautiful intro of mine. So, how exactly want to get started? Should I start sharing my screen, or how's the format?
Be comfortable, Lalit. You can go on with the flow you want. You can share your screen. You can interact with the audience. Just you can do however the jury wants it to be.
Hey, hi everyone. So yeah, for the today's topic will be more around how exactly the new age Gen AI solution is transforming the era of data analytics and data AI primarily, where like previously people used to write a long query to get data out of their database or unstructured data, but slowly it's moving towards more on a natural language conversations. So today's topic is going to be more around that, how exactly you can communicate with your database with just some simple uh, like English or some sentences you can just fire on your chart, and it's going to give you all your data in an interactive graph manner and a couple of other things. And at the end also we'll discuss how exactly the data security point of view it's going to matter, because most of the time people just blindly use AI to run some data, connect with a database, but at the same time we have to think about the security point of view, how exactly whether your PII information is secure or not and whatnot. So let me share my screen. Yeah, just let me know once my screen is visible to you guys. Komal, I hope my screen is visible, right?
Yeah, Lalit, your screen is clearly visible.
Okay, so today's topic is going to be more around a RAG chatbot or NLSQL chatbot, which is going to be responsible for bringing your what you can say data to real life use cases where you can chat with your data, you can play with your data and all. So just a quick what you can say intro about me. I'm Lalit Moharana. I have around 4 years of expertise in data and AI primarily, and like specialized in primarily pharma and airlines domain, and alongside I do work on like fintech solutions also. And when it comes to the passion or what exactly I do, uh, I prefer to like what you can say uh, spend much more time on the open source tool or open source thing whatever is happening on the real world, and which has the potential to change the life of a developer and all those things. So as like Komal has already given the intro, today's what you can say topic is going to be more on how exactly you can build a chatbot, or how a RAG chatbot works internally, what it can do, and like what are the implications if you're going to use a chatbot, what you need to think about, and so on. So let's first deep dive into what is GenAI primarily. So can you guys like put your thoughts on what is GenAI actually on charts? Like, what is your opinion on GenAI? What is GenAI for you? Okay, let me then jump into it. So when it comes to GenAI, GenAI is primarily like what a intelligent system which is capable of generating something which is like from the name itself you can what you can say, understand that what exactly it does. Based on some input it's going to generate something. It can be text, image, audio, video, or whatever you can think of, and it's going to generate a human like output by considering like your tone of thought, or like whatever you want to generate, it can easily generate like human. Then before jumping into RAG and those things, when it comes to AI, it was not a new like technology which just came like what you can say 1 decade or like few years back. It was there from a long time. So when it started, it's in 1956. The birth of AI, or the word AI, has been what you can say proposed or introduced as artificial intelligence. Then on 1996 to 1994 to 1964 to 1966. The first what you can say chatbot, NLP chatbot, has been pioneered, named as Ilja, which is an interactive chatbot which can take your natural language queries, and as per that it's going to do some rule based things on backend, and it's going to give you the response. Then later in 1986, uh, the, like what you can say, back propagation paper has come out, okay, which has changed the way what you can say artificial intelligence or deep learning works. Then 1997, Deep Blue, which is IBM's AI chess playing player, who came, who was, like what you can say, defeated the world champion of that time. Then 2000, the feed forward network, who everyone knows what exactly it is, that came out, or that has been created. Then in 1940s, sorry, in 2014, the first GAN, or generative adversarial network, came, which is the pioneer of GenAI, you can say, or the generative world. Then in 2017, the paper from Google came out, the Transformer, which changed the way, or like it's the pioneer of the new age generative AI solution like ChatGPT or others. Then 2018, OpenAI launched the GPT-1, the first version of GPT. Then in 2020, the GPT-3 came, which has completely changed the world, how what exactly AI can done. And then in later on, like 2025, the same legacy is being continued by Google, Microsoft, Claude, and other companies are still doing a great job in terms of building new architectures, giving new models, which is doing a great job. So here we are talking about chatbot and those kind of things, right? Like RAG and those things. What exactly the use case of that? So here I have highlighted just three use cases which is primarily being used. So here, if you can see, like the first one is fintech. So when it comes to the fintech domain, it was previously traditionally run by set of rules, or like they do have static what you can say procedures, which is taking a lot of time. But slowly it's being changing, like in fintech there is something called audit and those kind of things, where they have to go through a like 50 or 100 page document of your, and they need to manually point out the things they manually need to analyze, which might take from 1 to 10 days, or like it might take more also. So over there a lot of people coming in, or SaaS products are coming in, which is helping them to automate the process in much more intelligent and advanced way, where it's not just extracting the content, at the same time it's giving insight about the cash flow, or whether is there any, like what you can say, tampering has done to the statement, and those kind of things. And the same is happening with medical research. And also when it comes to medical research, it's primarily when it comes to, you are doing clinical studies, or you are doing some what you can say research on some specific bioenzyme or whatever, like medicines. Over there you have to write a lot of case studies, you have to create a lot of what you can say hypotheses, you have to produce the final report and those things. So I'm personally working on this domain right now, where the things are being changing, like we are creating multiple solutions for the medicine, or like the scientists who are working on the backbone to help them, like what you can say, uh, more focus on the research, less focus on the documentation, and those point of this point of view, so that their life is going to be easier on that. Anyone have any question as of now? Okay. Then let's move to the next one. So I guess, like, I have already covered what is GenAI. So let's jump into what is RAG. So when it comes to RAG, so from the name itself, you can derive it. Retrieval augment generation. What exactly it does? When it comes to the LLMs, what we have, it does a great job, but it does have a, like what you can say, fixed set of knowledge which is implanted on them whenever it got trained. But if you want to personalize, or you need to feed some data which is like what you can say, coming from your sources or your database, or you want to attach some live streaming data on which you want to build something or generate something. So wherever on that position, primarily RAG is helping them. So RE stand for retrieval, where you are retrieving data from your data sources. A means augmentation, so you're augmenting all your data to a specific prompt or specific system and generate, where you are sending the data alongside your augmented prompt to a LLM, which is generating insights or giving answer as per your latest data. Then there is, when it comes to RAG, the core or the heart of RAG is primarily embeddings. What does embeddings are? It's a numeric representation of a text, image, audio, or video. It whenever you, like what you can say, gives a text, audio, or video, what it does, it just convert it to a high dimensional space or high dimensional numeric representation of your input variable. So in this scenario, let's say, like if you have a text file, okay, or a text, and you want to send it to a embedding model, at the end it's going to produce a n dimensional array for you, which latter you are being using to, like what you can say, do a semantic search or lexical search or whatever you want to do. So for anyone has any doubt as on like embedding or on RAG? No, when it comes to what you can say, different dimensions, we can perform because we are trying to do a semantic matching. So what exactly it does on the individual position of your what you can say embeddings, it's going to do a semantic distance between both of the things, and at the final, it's going to give you a result. So if both of your embedding has a different dimension or size, uh, mostly it's not gonna work, but like there is workaround what you can do, like you can again compress it or flatten it to a specific number, and then you can do it. But that's going to result in a what you can say inconsistency in the result. Yeah, so like when it comes to storing the embeddings, yeah, there are multiple ways to store it. You can store it as is, as a, let's say, JSON or as a Python dict or variable, and then you can do. Or else there are a lot of databases are there where you can store it. Let's say Quadrant is one, Milbus is there, V8 is there, and there are a lot many are there where you can store it. And as after that, the way you are querying your database, like SQL or NoSQL, same way you can query them. So when it comes to software, it depends. So whether you are talking about a vector database or you are talking about what you can say, any like SaaS softwares which can be used to automate these things. So industry, most of the time, like you have to go with your specific use case, what software or what technology is more aligned with your client, and as per that only you have to go. So in that scenario, when it comes to data storage and those things, most of the time we go by, let's say, Quadrant, Milbus, or let's say V8. And when it comes to like the pipeline and those things, it depends. Like most of the time we use, let's say, LangChain, LangFlow, or like say Llama Index and other things. Okay, so today's, like what you can say, demo is going to be mostly around NL SQL chatbot. So what exactly it does, based on your query, it's going to generate a SQL, and it's gonna fire that SQL to your on your database, and from there whatever responses it got based on your question, it's going to present in different ways. Let's say you do have your what you can say, let's say you ask a question like how many, who is the top, those kind of things, is mostly going to a singular answer, so it's going to give you in a text. But at the same time, if you ask something like give me a breakdown of revenue for each month, or if you ask, let's say, what is the ratio between two specific groups, so in that scenario it's going to give you a specific view in like a graph or like a pie chart or a graph or area chart or other ways. So here the flow goes with, like, the user has drop a message, let's say, then it's gonna what you can say, looking into your DDL or your schema information, then that schema information alongside your user message is going to embed it to your prompt. Then it will move to any what you can say, LLM, which is going to primarily, like, generate a SQL query for you. And once the SQL query is generated, here the data is being stored in Snowflake. So it's going to query all those things on Snowflake. And once the results are there, then it's mostly show those things in a user interface, either in a what you can say, table view or text view, or it's going to be something else. So it's going to be interactive, what you can say, demo I have. Then I'll walk you through the code, how exactly it's done, what are the different components I have, and other things. Okay. Yeah, you guys are excited to see it, or you guys can what you can say, drop your thoughts on chat. Yeah, so just give me a moment, let me open it up. Yeah, so before getting into, like, what you can say, the code or the other things, let's first, like, what you can say, fire some queries and see the magic, how exactly it's working, or what kind of responses it can give. Then we'll deep dive into the implementation, or how exactly it can be done. Yeah, so here, if you can see, I have asked, like, how many payments were made each month, and as per that, it has created a specific SQL query. And alongside that, it has given, like, since it we have asked how many for each month, obviously bar chart is the ideal chart what we can go with. So that's why it has given, like, what we can say, the output in a bar graph. Similarly, let's say, like, if you go for something on the distribution for two specific categories, which is, like, what you can say, payment status, then let's see, like, how exactly it's giving those. Yeah, here, if you can see, it has given the response in a pie chart. So then let's move into the implementation. Okay, how exactly I have done it. Okay, so mostly after this, what you can say, session, I do have, like, this on my repo, so I'll just make it public, and I'll share the URL with you guys on the group. So before that, like, the first step, like, how to understand the code or what exactly has been done, you can easily go through this well maintained, like, readme.md, where we can easily understand about the project structure, the setup guide, how exactly you can set up it. Then there are a couple of things what I'm going to change, like, on the configuration, what you need to add, how to use it, and other things. And at the same time, what are the major functions I'd have, which is going to do all your magic. Okay, so there are three component what I told you, right? The first one is the DB, or the uh, where all your data is stored. The second part is the schema, which is schema and prompt, which is responsible for generating all these things. And then the third thing, which is representing those things in a UI. Okay, so let's first understand the data, what exactly I have used.
Hey, hi Lalit. Sorry for interrupting. Can you zoom in a bit, like, to make it more readable for users?
uh, is it better now?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. This will be fine. Yeah. Cool. We can go ahead.
Okay. So let's first understand the data, like what exactly I have used, where is the data stored. So when it comes to the data, I have it on what you can say, Snowflake. Okay, so for this specific demo I have created a new database and a schema where I have all the data. So primarily over here I have 5 tables, okay, which is mostly around the financial data. The first one is user, which holds all the information about the users. Okay, so let me let me do in this way. Yeah, so what exactly has it? Has user id, what it has, username, it has user email, user phone, and all those things. And alongside that, what I do have the payments data, I do have the settlement data, I have the financial data, like their inward and outward, what you can say, how much, like what you can say, is coming in and how much is going out, that. And then if, since it's like what you can say, we do have the payments data for merchants, there might be some disputes. So all those dispute data I have. So how exactly I have generated, so on the code itself you can see something called the schema generator, which is responsible for generating the schema. So you just have to run it, it will generate a schema for you, and it will generate a data, and it can directly push those data to your database. Like either you can use Snowflake, or at the same time if you want to use something else, you can easily use those. Then like I guess like you got a better understanding of your data. So once the data has been generated, what I have done, I have created a data dictionary, or a metadata of my data, like what you can say, tables, what exactly columns I have, why that column is there, what is the type of that, like what you can say, data type of that column, and if there are any relationship between two tables, like let's say here if you can see, okay, it has a relationship with user table, right? So what is the foreign key, what is the foreign column, then what is the table description, and all those things I have kept in this specific JSON. And the core or the heart of generating the SQL is this file, which is responsible for giving the context to the LLM so that it can understand my data, and it can generate SQL queries as per that. So then let's move into the prompt part. Yeah, so here if you can see, it is just a simple prompt. I haven't included a lot of things here. What I have given like what you can say, the persona which this LLM is going to play, then the instructions, what exactly it's gonna do, the odd scenarios, when to do what, how, what kind of output I want. Then I have given a few sort example where what exactly the few sort example means. I've given a question, as per that how exactly the query needs to be written, or like what is going to be written based on the query, so that the LLM can easily understand like what kind of output I want. Then I have given a output parser, what exactly the output parser means, in which format I need the output, whether it's a JSON or there will be any specific key or other things. Then what are the supported visuals on my UI screen, so as per that it's going to suggest like, yeah, this is the specific question, as per that I can go with this specific visual. And then I'm giving the context, which is nothing but the file whatever I shown you, the schema. Then the question itself I embed. Okay, and all these things are being what you can say, formatted over here based on the user query. Okay, so there is two things what I'm doing. The first one, whether we are creating a SQL or we are generating a summary prompt. So as per that, it's going to move to a specific place. And once my, let's say, prompt is ready, what exactly I do, I just make a like call to the LLM, whether it's going to be Cortex, Bedrock, or anything else. And as per that, it's going to give me the output over here. And once what you can say, I do have my SQL query. Let's say in this scenario I got my SQL query, what I have to do, I have to pass the response in a proper way so that I can send it to like removing the junks and those kind of things. That's what I'm doing over here. And once I have the parse response, I just need to run it on the like what you can say, Snowflake, and whatever response I got, I just need to view those. So on the previous one, whatever we have run, so here if you can see, we got a generated query over here, right? So we can just take this query, let's say to your database. Okay, we can just paste it and we can try that specific one. Okay, so here if you can see the same response it has given on the what you can say individual label and alongside the percentage distribution, which you are again like displaying on the UI. Yeah, so if you guys want to ask any questions or chatbot related to, let's say, finance or those kind of things, you can easily ask me. I'd love to throw those queries to this chatbot.
Hey, hi. Yeah, hey, hi, Lalit. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so we have some questions from what we can say our chat. I guess these are mostly around how you are retrieving things from the database. So first one is from Shubham. He basically wants to know what libraries you are using for your SQL agent.
Okay.
Also, to be
Yeah.
more elaborative, what database also you are using, so it will make uh, clear.
So for this one, I have used LangChain internally. Okay, and for the SQL, I haven't used any like what you can say agent over there because it's a straightforward use case. I don't have a lot of tables, so that's why I have just used a prompt template, which is following LATs actually, the prompt technique. And then on top of that, I have just generated the SQL queries. But if your data is complex or you have a complex use case, then you can obviously use any of the other, like what you can say, SQL generator agents. And when it comes to the database, so it's going to be database agnostic. You just need to make the changes on your prompt template, and as per that, it's going to generate. For this specific demo, I have used Snowflake as a database over here.
Okay, that's great. So there's a next question from Manish. So he says, what if he's having a no SQL database with like no fixed schema? I guess this is mostly around MongoDB. Like many people nowadays prefer MongoDB to start with. So how an agent is going to process query when we have a no SQL database?
So yeah, like when it comes to NoSQL database, yeah, obviously it bit challenging to extract the things because most of the time the data type and the nodes are not fixed. But in most of the production use cases, the schema is going to be almost constant. It's just going to add something or remove something which is not going to be on an overall level. So in that scenario, there are some what you can say techniques present called federated query engines. What it can do, it can connect to your NoSQL database, and on top of that NoSQL database, you can run your SQL queries like your normal database actually. So mostly you can, let's say, connect your uh, mm, Postgres cluster with a Trino, or it's, let's say, like Athena kind of cluster. Then on top of that, you can build, like, you can just plug in play the same solution what I have. But if you purely go for a NoSQL scenario, it's a bit difficult to go with that because most of the time this it has a nested, what you can say, structure, right? So it's not gonna do a like great job if you're going directly with a NoSQL DB.
Understood, Lalit. Next question is like very pretty much interesting as well. That with these queries, like just suppose the bot that you're currently showing, if you go on that live, there will be millions of transactions, like millions of queries. So how are you
Yeah.
going to integrate caching for the outputs based on what query user is giving?
Okay, so there are primarily two kind of caching mechanism on the industry, primarily on the AI being used. The first one is the semantic caching. What exactly it does, even though you are not asking the same query, like question, let's say here I have asked like what you can say, what is the distribution of payment status in pie chart. Someone can ask like what is the like what you can say, the distribution of payment with respect to status or something else, but the semantic meaning is almost same. So in those kind of scenarios, there is a concept called semantic caching which is being used, uh, that you can implement so that as soon as the queries hit, you are going to check on the semantic cache whether similar kind of queries are there. If there, it's going to do a cache hit and it will return the value. Or else if you're going to think about like the caching layer, it's not semantically done. Instead of that, you are going to on the other side. So in that scenario, you have to restrict actually certain queries. Okay, like what exactly it can be done, what exactly it can't be done. But mostly when it comes to these kind of scenarios, it's always a localized solution what people use. It's not is going to be available to like the B2C kind of solution, because it's really hard to what you can say manage the query throttling and those kind of scenario. But you can apply semantic caching. You can have like what you can say the session management, where if similar queries being applied by different users, it's going to fire one and it's going to queue all the other like users on a queue, and once the first response came out, it's just going to distribute the result to independent users. I hope you like what you can say queries resolved.
Understood, understood. Cool. Lalit, let's do one thing. We have more questions incoming. So let's continue with the session, and I will pick similar questions and ask you at the end of the session. That works?
Yeah. So I guess like I have already shown you like what you can say the demo, the code pieces as well. Like you can like what you can say better deep dive into all these things, how exactly it works, the internal of it, and all those things. And in terms of demo, I guess I'm almost done. So here like all my slides are gone. So mostly I can talk about the data security and those point of view. So most of the time what happened, like whenever you're going with a chatbot, people just try to pass on all the data. Let's say like in this scenario, I like once I got my responses, what exactly I can do, I can pass those data to LLM to synthesize those. So that's what like what you can say the general SQL based or like RAG system works. But most of the time there are some PII information there, like personal information of your client or some confidential numbers what we have, what you don't want to show to the end user. Okay. So in that scenario, how exactly it can be handled, like the PII masking, or whether like what you can say a jailbreaker prompt, or whether the user who is working like who is throwing the question, he can simply ask like go to my database and just delete this user table or the other table. Or let's say at the same time uh, he can ask some question which is going to do a lot of join between multiple tables, and it can cost you like thousands or millions of dollars whenever you are using a let's say warehouse or those kind of scenario. So to tackle those kind of things, there are multiple what you can say guardrails which are being what you can say implanted in your solutions. The first one can be what you can say prompt guardrail, which is going to look into a ethical or unethical prompt, whether the user has fired the queries, whether those are ethical or not, whether it's relevant to your chatbot or your thought process or not. If not, it's simply going to reject those queries. And let's say for some reason it has bypassed that, so then the second layer of what you can say guardrail is going to be there, which is going to be a SQL guardrail or a business guardrail. What exactly it does, it try to block the what you can say queries which might not be relevant or which might not shown to a specific user based on their role. Because if you have a let's say role based access control RBAC, then based on your role it's going to filter out the queries and all those stuff. So I guess like that's it I have from my side. So mostly we can go through all the queries what the user has, and then we can give a closer.
Cool. So there's one question from again from Shubham. Basically, he has tried LangChain, but LangChain was not able to generate complex queries from multiple tables like joins and all. So can you bit explain how are you handling when you are having multiple tables in a database?
Yeah, so here if you can see, okay, the schema what I have here, 5 tables are there. Okay, and it does have what you can say multiple relationship with those. Like payment is like when it comes to the financial data, obviously it's going to related with user. When it comes to this dispute which is related to payment, and payment is again related to settlement and those kind of things. So in that scenario, the only thing which is going to help you a lot is that the description what you gives. Okay, what are the individual columns are doing. So as per that, it's going to get a more context on or it is going to understand exactly how your database schema works, or like which specific thing is for what. Let's say in this scenario, I have given the description for each column label, okay, and at the same time I have given description on a table label, okay, and if required I can give a description a relationship point of view. So, and all these things you can instruct how exactly your database work. If there are some enums, or if you have something else, you can just define those things on your prompt, so that it's going to better understand your schema. And once it understand your schema, then it's mostly going to generate those things. But to, if you have a larger table, or you have a lot of tables on your database which can't fit into your, like what you can say, uh, database directly, or like your context window of your LLM. So in that scenario, there are some, you like what you can say, techniques called schema resolution, or where you are going to specifically pull those schema or those tables which are relevant to the user query. And since you have given lesser context to the LLM, it's going to generate more mature or more better results.
That's great, Lalit. That's great. Next up, we have a question from Manish. He's asking, how can we implement RBAC while considering data security?
Yeah, like when it comes to RBAC, it primarily like role-based access control. So let's say you are building a chatbot for your internal organization, okay, and each person is going to is going to primarily access different databases or different data sources. So in most of the org, they try to keep a, like what you can say, uniform centralized directory, which is going to have all the access control and those things. So your GenAI solution can be sync with that specific data repository, or data like what you can say access directory. And as per that, whenever the user, let's say, fires a query, it like question, it has generated a specific query, then you can check based on the query attribute whether the user has access to all those columns or all those tables or not. If not, then you can easily bypass that, like you don't have access to, or like you don't have permission to access this specific table. But at the same time, that can be handled in a more mature way. Like let's say if you have a unstructured chart where you have a lot of document, and you have access to a specific a department or a specific set of documents, so you can always create a dictionary of that also, whether the user has access to that specific document or not, and you can do a metadata filtering on that scenario.
Cool. I hope Manish, your query is resolved. Next question is from Dushmanta. This is from, I guess what he's basically asking is that how are you handling prompt injections so that from prompt, the query that has been created, it shouldn't do anything to do SQL injections.
Yeah, so in that scenario, let's like there are multiple prompt guardrails are there, or you can have a jailbreaker prompt itself where it's going to identify those. Or else, let's say if you go for Bedrock as a scenario, so Bedrock has a by default prompt guardrail which you can just enable, and you can just put the keywords what exactly you don't want to do, and as per that, it's just gonna filter your queries. And if you want to build your custom what you can say guardrail, that also you can do. Let's say you can have a prompt based guardrail which is going to look into the prompt, and based on your instruction what exactly it can do and what it can't do, it's going to handle that. And at the same time, whenever it's come to these specific use cases, most of the time you are going to create a user which is going to interact with your database. The like database user is going to be just read only database user who is can perform any DDL or DML queries. So that's like what you can say the first level of guardrail what you can have. So the connection itself can't create anything or can delete anything. It's just going to read the data. And let's say on top of that, you can have a prompt guardrail or jailbreaker prompt, or you can have a different guardrail. Like there are multiple guardrails available on the market, you can use those.
That's great. That's great. The guardrail is something like we have been needing. Next question is from Sanjeev. In such cases, like can someone just put a requirement doc as like I think he's meaning that can you just put the requirement document as the document for your RAG and then generate code using it?
Yeah, it can be done, but it depends. Like when you're putting the requirement doc, it's not going to be a RAG use case actually. So if you have a simple like what you can say requirement doc, obviously you can put to the newest, let's say Manus or any other what you can say coding agents, whatever came, and as per your prompt, it's just going to generate your whole project or your whole code. Yeah, easily that can be done.
Great, great.
Because
Okay,
in one of the recent use case, like where we're just building what you can say a specific dashboard for a like what you can say fintech client, where the client itself has gone to Manus, he has early access, he has put the data like the sample data over there, some prompt, and within 20 minutes he has built something which the developers are trying to build for like last 15 or 20 days.
that's great. That's really something AI can what we can. So, any more questions, guys? We can pick them up for now, or we will move on. Uh, Lalit, there's a request that please share the code and the PPT. So I guess
Yeah, the
that
code is already there, so I'll just share the link to the code, and at the same time I'll share the ppt with you guys, and you can just populate that with the team.
yeah, yeah, that's great.
Okay. Thanks everyone for like all your question and all your patience to like what you can say stay back on the call and just listen to me. So if you have any other like what you can say queries, you can reach out to me anytime. Okay, on LinkedIn or in WhatsApp itself. I'd love to like what you can say resolve all your queries, or if you have any doubt.
Just cool. So with this, we come to the end of our session. Thanks a lot, Lalit, for this session now. Like I guess we all are very clear about how RAG-based systems are working in real world right now. Any more question, guys, or we can just thank Lalit and he can be free now. Thanks a lot, Lalit, for like making time for us early morning on a Sunday, especially. I guess you
Yes.
face the same amount of energy. You have the same amount of energy that all our audience had.
Yeah,
So
it's
thanks,
to be
Lalit.
honest, well, what you can say experience. It is great experience to what you can say talk with the people, because previous like what you can say couple of years back I was there like what you can say listening to the people, how exactly I can boost up my skills, how exactly I can do the stuffs which are going to help me in my early career or in a long term. So now like to what you can say mentor the people, it's to be honest great experience, and I love to like what you can say do these things.
Yeah, that's actually something that we, as like early stage developers, we always look around for like people who once we were, people who once like are pioneers in this field. If we can get to know about these things from them, so that would be amazing. Thanks, Lalit, for like spending time with us, especially on Sunday from 10 a.m. And yeah, so moving on, let's so hey guys, so uh let's get back to the session. Just give me a while. Cool. Yeah, so just hey people, so my name is Swam. I guess you have seen me in previous TFUG events. So I have been with TFUG for a couple of time now, and I'll be host for the rest of today's session. So to start with, so let's get some feedback. How are you enjoying the morning? How was the previous session? Can I have few things in my chat? Dushmanta is like always excited. He was the first comment for today's session, and he has been there throughout the first session as well. The little, believe me, I'm really frustrated with the thing that there is a big latency between how when I speak, when you hear, then when you post comments, and then when I respond to that. So I guess we will have to bear with that. So I will just tell you how are we going to move ahead. So we will have a small 15-minute quiz now. We will have Chakit and Smriti from our team. Chakit and Smriti, are you there with me? Team, can we check if Chakit and Smriti are there? We can add them. Okay, so we have Chakit here from our team, and he will be your host for the quiz. Chakit, you want to
Thank
put up your
you.
screen? Go ahead.
Uh, please add Smoothie as well.
Yeah, Smriti is also there. Hey, hi Smriti, hi Chakit. Folks, Chakit and Smriti are our developers for TFUG. So everything that you see on TFUG's website, any automated mail that you are getting, everything which is happening with code on our end, Chakit and Smriti are the wizards of back there. So yeah, that was now Chakit and Smriti. You can put up your screen and you can take over. I will hand over this list to you.
Thank you, Swayam.
Thank you so much.
Hey everyone, and a massive welcome to Quizvana, your passport to the wild world of AI. Powered by none other than TensorFlow Bhubaneswar. Today we are about to find out who's got the sharpest mind in the world of artificial intelligence. So, quick reminder: you all be answering live using Slido. So keep the tape ready and those finger even readier. So get hyped. Bragging rights, glory, and eternal AI fame are at stake. Without any further ado, let's start the quiz. Alright, we can see more and more people are joining in. Welcome back, everyone. Get ready because we are about to deep dive into the action here at Quizwana, brought to you by TensorFlow Bhubaneswar. And hey, a little extra motivation. We have got an exciting prize waiting for you. So stay sharp and stay quick, and let's make those questions counting.
So Chakit, can would you like give some insights for people to prepare, like what around your questions are today?
So basically, the questions are around the artificial intelligence in India. Some of questions are the basic machine learning questions. The level of questions are basic to medium. If someone is following the whatever the Indian government is doing regarding artificial intelligence in India, they can answer easily.
Cool, cool. I guess we have couple of people from our audience. Like we have been interacting with these. Quick fun fact, guys. We our prizes are waiting for you. We were at the end of the session. We would be like taking your whatever. We will take your contact details. We will do something. This is not just a like random quiz that we are going to do. Can we get an heads up on the comments if everyone has joined in or someone is joining in? Just please tell if someone is still joining in, or we can move ahead. Cool, Jagat. I guess we can start. We have a good heads up from people. Let's start the quiz.
All right, the wait is finally over. It's time to kick off the amazing journey into the world of AI with our very first question here at the Kuzbana, powered by TensorFlow Bhubaneswar. So, what is the primary goal of India AI mission launched by the Indian government?
Man, I guess many people are following with news today.
Okay, so we are done with the first question, and as I can see, most of the people have choose the correct answer. So let's deep dive to the next question.
Uh, I think next question is that which ministry oversees the Indian AI mission? I think this is the current affairs AI related.
Basically, this quiz is around current affairs and artificial intelligence in India, right?
Artificial, yes, Queen of India. I think the correct answer is Minister of Electronics and Information Technology.
So the next question is, which Indian startup was selected by government to build India's first sovereign large language model?
You guys made these questions for the next session, right?
Yeah, this is very related to our next speaker. So most of people get the correct answer. Answer are coming faster than the AI generating a college essay at midnight. So let's move to the next question.
Which Google AI initiative supports Indian language? So it is thousand language of initiative. Which one? Google Translate, Google Bar, Google Cloud AI, and TensorFlow. Google. The other country is Google Translate,
People
and the
got
next
confused
one
there a bit. I can see people.
TensorFlow.
At least no one selected Google Bard.
Yeah,
Thank God. So the next question is, what is TensorFlow primarily used for in AI development? The options are on your screens. Thank God none of us choose web development as the answer. Okay, so let's move to the next question. So as we can see the leaderboard,
okay, let's move. The
Yeah,
next
not
one is which TensorFlow API is commonly used for building neural networks in Indian language processing. Which I think Draw, Keros, and TensorFlow. Let's see. And the answer is correct.
people people are confused with Keras and TensorFlow.
pretty confusing session, I guess.
So the next question is, what is common dataset creating challenge for Indian language AI models? Basically, this is question related to AI language models.
Okay, next question. Which TensorFlow feature is useful for deploying AI models on mobile devices in India?
On mobile devices on India, that is
I think most people are
people
confused.
using Apple Intelligence. TensorFlow can confirm.
TensorFlow Lite. Okay, the answer is correct. Okay, next question.
Which algorithm is best suited for classifying text data into categories like spam or not spam? This question is reminding me of my AI classes.
And the best thing about this is we have given PC as an option as well.
I think the most of people wrong. Next.
This can confirm people are not using AI to get the answers.
Okay, the next question is what is overfitting in the context of machine learning?
This is the most easiest question of this quiz, I think.
I guess they should the basic machine learning with this.
I guess people are choosing the lengthiest option always.
The answer is correct. Okay, the leaderboard is
Yes,
So here we have the leaderboard, and big shout out to Niharika for constantly topping the leaderboard.
those she got something, but still she got that.
okay. Next,
I can see Dash and Anil coming up like they were not there prior to this.
So the next question is, in natural language processing, what is the purpose of tokenization?
what is the primary purpose of loss functions in machine learning model?
I guess this is one of the very easy questions.
Let's
This
see
should be easy.
how many rules are correct. No, max. Okay,
So
100%.
I was
Everyone has
hoping
said
100%. I was hoping 100%.
it.
So the next question is, which machine learning algorithm is best suited for unsupervised clustering of customer data? We
Unsupervised.
have
Unsupervised. And you have three supervised. Nice. Good way of giving options, guys.
Yeah. Okay, next question. In reinforcement learning, what is the role of the reward function?
Second easiest question.
so the last question of this session is, which of this is the known limitation of ChatGPT?
It never makes access private channel. It only works with
It's also working in English. People are choosing it works in English only.
people go on to ChatGPT and try answering them. हिंदी में बात करते हैं.
So here's come the end of question. So we can have the leaderboard.
Ooh, there's a tie. The tie between
There is
Niharika
that. We can have a rapid fire round.
it's your call. We have Dash, Sanju, Ronit. Timing we guys are not that much in consider because we know YouTube there's a latency from when we send data to YouTube when YouTube sends video then you create when it does that way. So we're not considering timing at all. Okay, hardest question is which algorithm is best certified to fetch data in Guys,
This is
If you
not the
can
hardest, I guess. Okay, so the winners are Niharika, thus Sanjay, and we have a tie with Niharika and this. But if we are considering time, then Niharika is the winner.
That's great. Kudos to Niharika, Dash, Sanju for like participating today. We are very glad. But still, you guys got some questions incorrect, so you guys need to ramp up in AI.
Thank you so much for joining the session. I hope you really enjoyed. The questions were very basic, as I can see the answers.
Cool. Okay, guys. Before we start the next session, let's have a little chit chat. How's the session going on? What you're expecting from the next session? Let me just put up my screen. Niharika Dash Sanju, quick request. Please put up your mail ID in the chat. We will soon get in touch with you. Please put your mail ID. Cool. Let's take some moment and let's get our speaker on board. I hope team can we just remove the background music for now? Yeah, cool. That's great. Thanks. Okay, guys. So let me take some time and welcome our next speaker for today's session. I welcome Himanshu Didwania. We from Sarvam. Hey, hi Himanshu. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Hey, everyone.
Yeah, hi, man. So glad to have you today on board. So how's Sunday's morning treating you after yesterday's announcement?
Okay. Yeah, it's crazy. It's exciting. Lots of work to do. So yeah, let's see. I think next few months are going to be intense, but it will be crazy. So yeah.
So just what we are talking about. So people, Himanshu is one of the what we can say founding engineers at Sarvam AI. And yesterday only, the news has been public that government has chosen Sarvam AI to build India's sovereign AI. Himanshu, would you like to give some what it's about? Like I guess people don't know much about that. Would you let's have a little chit chat on that? Then we can start with the session.
Sure, sure. Yeah, sure. So basically, I think government of India, after all this DeepSeek movement and all, got into real groove that we need to support Indian AI organizations and all. And I think few months back they announced that they are going to have a fund and they're going to support a lot of startups. And the goal of this whole mission would be to support startups who can build sovereign AI for India, LLMs out of India, not just LLMs, but like cutting edge deep learning models out of India. And a lot of companies have applied. A few of those are selected, and Sarvam being one of those. We are now interested with their mission to bring the reality of AI to Indian masses. So yeah, that's a short view on that.
Cool then. Okay, so let's start with the session. Quick, I will have Himanshu, if you can start presenting your screen, we will add your screen on the top.
And then
Folks,
the
uh, again, similar to previous session, this session would also be interactive as well as chit chat. Feel free to put up your questions. We will be communicating the same with Himanshu. And yeah, handing over stage to you, Himanshu. You can start now.
Great, perfect. So, yeah, good morning, everyone. First of all, token of thanks to TFUG Bhubaneswar for giving me this platform. Uh, so, I hope the next half an hour will be a very fun, engaging, and learning session for everyone involved here. Yeah, let me start. But before I start, I will probably just play a small audio. Please in chat, let me know if the audio is not audible.
नमस्ते एवरीवन मु हिमांशु ओ मु आपण मानकु सादर आमंत्रण जनाउछि एही सेशन पई बिल्ड विथ एआई इंडिया एआई एंड डाइवर्सिटी ऑर्गेनाइज्ड बाय टीएफयूजी भुवनेश्वर ए टकर शीर्षक होछि टुवर्ड्स इंक्लूसिव वॉइस एआई फॉर इंडिया तेनु चलंतु आमे आरंभ करिबा
I hope the audio was audible. Okay, perfect. So, a small disclaimer that audio was my voice, and it was not me who recorded it. It was our models, which can do voice cloning. So, I just cloned my voice to just show you what AI can do, what kind of powers it can unlock, and also like a very small sneak peek of what we mean when we say voice AI, AI for India, and inclusivity of languages and diversity, which India is. Which India as a consumer base requires. So, let me get into uh, the talk with a small intro about me. So, I am Himansu. Okay, I haven't added my exact details, but I am Himansu. Currently I am at Sarvam, and I joined as a founding engineer here. I've been with the team and this journey from day zero. Uh, Currently, I lead the TTS team here. TTS means text to speech. And when I say I lead the TTS team, I mean I'm involved from the research perspective, all the engineering perspective, data curation, model training, all those engineering side of things, but also on the product side of things, like how should this technology be consumed? How does it integrate with other products? How do we make TTS like how do we enable TTS to be integrated with uh, to be easily used by different developers, different platforms, different tools, different individuals, so that they can go on and build things on top of it. So, and since it has been an intense startup journey, over last 2 years in Sarvam, I have been able to wear multiple hats, have trained model, curated data, done manual evals, optimized inference, worked on backend, so interface with clients. So I think last 2 years has put me in a good spot to understand what AI, what breakthroughs are happening in AI, uh, how those reflect on Indian. How should we think about AI applications from Indian perspective, both from the perspective of a user, builder, a client who wants to use AI. So I think this journey has been very fruitful in making me learn and understand the dynamics of AI in India. But how did I reach here? So a small timeline of how my journey in AI. 2016, I got into Triple IT Bhubaneswar. 2018, second or third year of mine, this was I got into ML. I think this was the time when this entry rank the Coursera ML course was all craze, um, coding on MATLAB and Octave, just getting into linear regression, logistic regression. This was like pre-deep learning things. So that's how I got into it. Uh, got a good opportunity to work under Suvenduru, who was one of the professors in Triple IT Bhubaneswar, and and there I was working on computer vision, which led to a paper. 2019, continued my research journey through an internship at Triple IT Hyderabad over 2019 summer and 2020 first half. Was able to get an internship under Professor Madhav Krishna from RRC in Triple IT Hyderabad, who works on the who so that's RRC is Robotics Research Center, and there I got an opportunity to work in the intersection of robotics and computer vision, and that also led to another paper. Uh, so 2020, I graduated and switched from academia to industry and joined Skit.ai as an ML engineer. Skit.ai was and it continues to be a voice bot company. So and this will like I think we now we see voice bot, chat bot so many times. Like chat has become the natural interface to interact with all these new models. But like this is a pre-LLM era of pre-LLM era of AI, where I got introduced to the whole concept of chat, how chat and voice is being used to solve for India, to solve problems for India, to serve the clients and to serve the clients who want to penetrate in India, and also a sort of mindset shift and a culture shift, moving away from academia to industry and seeing that uh, the parameters, the KPIs expected in industry is vastly different from what we see in academia. It's not just about building, like getting a 1% better accuracy on some metric. It's more about how can you effectively solve problems under the given constraints. So that was fun 2 years. 2022, but decided to move back into academic research, where I joined the AI for Bharat, which is a research lab in IIT Madras, led by Professor Nitish Thapra and Professor Pratyush Kumar. Again, got a chance to explore some research threads on ASR, which is speech recognition, and majorly worked with them to build. Majorly, my work there over the few months had been an industrial collaboration with NPCI, where we were building some voice bots for NPCI use cases. And the use case they wanted to enable was voice payments, so that you can go to the app, go to an UPI app, so just say, hey, pay rupees 500 to Swayam, let's say, and it would just confirm it would just do the transfer. So that was my few months in AF of Bharat. And since I met Professor Pratyush there, worked with him, and also Dr. Vivek Raghavan, I met them both in AF of Bharat. When they started Sarvam in 2023, they invited me over, and that's how I reached to AF of Bharat, to Sarvam. So that has been my journey so far. So sorry for a bit longish intro, but now let's get into the meat of the topic. So AI in 2025, I think we all are on Twitter. We are seeing all this hype every week. There's something new which comes, something crazy which comes, and it's just sort of breaks the internet. People are like, what's happening? There are people who are optimistic about this. There are people who are not so optimistic about it. There are people who are like, India kya kar raha hai? A lot of things, lot of noise. So just to start on that, what's happening in the AI? So I think AI over the past few decades have gone through multiple cycles. It has gone through what we call AI winters as well, where the whole field of AI slowed down greatly. But I think since the advent of deep learning in 2012, we have seen a continuous rise of AI research and application, and not just, and what it has resulted in is uh, a lot of cycles of different innovations, starting from convolutional neural networks, unlocking images, to going to generative models, like early generative models like GANs and VAEs, then coming to the era of large language models in form of GPT-3, like transformer-based model. Like, okay, first transformer came and sort of revolutionized the whole NLP field, and then the initial versions of GPT, like GPT-2, which showed that these LLMs are not just good for prediction, like this transformers are not just good for discriminative tasks like prediction, but also good for generative tasks. And then the whole shift towards these larger models, auto-regressive decoding, so a lot of things. So where are we in 2025? Models are now getting larger and larger. So I think the theme over the past few years has been scale. Models are scaling from millions of, like earlier the models used to be millions of parameters. Now it's going to billion and even trillion of parameters. Data sets are now huge. Trillions of tokens of these models need trillions of tokens of data to be trained. It's also, I think we are also moving towards a convergence of thing where a same model is we are able to train same model on not just text, but also images and audios, which makes the models learn from different modalities, associate different modalities, and are making them much more powerful than ever. And although the earlier chat GPT and all were very chat based thing, but now we are moving towards the term which the concept of reasoning, where we are able to use LLMs to not just write something, but also reason, ask it to reason, help us, and that sort of leads to us enabling capabilities like maths or coding, or even very deep research kind of things, where you want to have very deep thoughts on any particular topic. And finally, also this term agents, which we keep on hearing every time. So the advancements of paradigms like tool calling, function calling has also brought agents to the stage where uh, AI is not just about generating something, but also it's about taking actions. It can call an API, get fetch your information, do something there. So overall, these themes have emerged in the field of AI over the last couple of years, and it just keeps on growing on these scales. But what is in for AI for Bharat in 2025? Uh, First of all, like there are multiple opportunities to build. There are multiple opportunities or multiple incentives on why to build AI for Bharat in 2025. First of all, I think the biggest advantage with India host over majority of the other countries is the demography of users, demography of consumers. We are one of the leading internet users, leading nations when it comes to internet usage. I think our the population is tech savvy. They are very quick to jump to new technologies and see just out of curiosity what it is. How can they integrate it into the lifestyle? The demography of consumers is great here, but not just from the user's perspective, but also there's a great opportunity for AI to actually bring an improvement to the quality of life. Uh, India is still lacking behind in certain sectors where we feel we want to improve, be it education, be it healthcare, just be it information access, let's say. So it's not just about building fancy things, but also about improving the quality of life in general for the general masses. Uh, but with all of this comes an interesting challenge of India being a representation of diversity, specifically linguistic diversity, uh, because every state has their languages. Every language has their own dialects. So to make AI usable, English is probably not the best way forward for India. And a second challenge or opportunity, I would say, is voice first interface. I think, at least speaking from my personal experience, uh, I prefer voice over text. Like, I don't want to chat. I want to maybe just speak out and get a result back. Voice assistants like Siri and Google Assistant have existed for so long, but still uh, they were very primitive as compared to what we have now with GPT voice mode and all. And it seems like voice is the correct medium for Indian users. A lot of Indians are not fortunate enough to have learned writing or reading, but every one of us can speak out the languages out. So voice first interface is one of the great opportunities to build AI for India. Uh, Also, the another opportunity is surfaces for active interaction. So as I mentioned, that India is a great adopter of technology, uh, and but it also brings out the diversity of usage. People are using technology through their phones, through WhatsApp, through websites, through different apps. It's not that people are just relying on one tool. People are using different multiple surfaces. A lot of people probably don't have computers in India still, but everyone has phone. Everyone has access to different apps. WhatsApp is one of the largest used applications over India. So there are so many surfaces as well which we can enable AI through. And finally, the opportunity to build sovereign AI, which I think has been a theme for a couple of years now, since different countries are taking it as an arms race to build the best AI. So I think we all have seen example of how the current best models are not do not represent the true reflections of an Indian Indian values, Indian culture. They are often biased. So the sovereign AI is a true requirement at this point of time. Uh, but what are the challenges? I think these three are very like everyone who has been working on AI deep learning knows that these three are probably the biggest challenges right now. Data data is a huge challenge with the scale of models increasing. We are also having to need very large data sets. And Indian languages in general are very low resource. To give you an example, since I work on TTS, there's a data set called Emilia, which is 50,000 hours of English data, another 40,000 hours of Chinese data. So that data set is almost 100,000 hours with some European languages and Chinese. And that's the volume these data sets are. And these are open source. So everyone has access to this. But like taking in comparison, for Indian languages, there's this dataset Indian Voices are released by AI for Bharat in IIT Madras. which has almost around 10,000 hours of data with 22 languages of India combined. So you can see the scale difference here in when it comes to data. And although I took TTS dataset as an example, but the scale difference is true for all the other modalities as well, be it images, be it text. So data is a big challenge. Compute being second challenge. Now, since you're training such large models, we are seeing a need of training models on hundreds to thousands of GPUs. But who bears the bill? It's an expensive affair, obviously. So how to sort of create that environment? How to even in GPU, it's like NVIDIA has that monopoly. They are very expensively priced. So how do you even get access to these? Also, things like geopolitics and monopolies are making it harder for people to access GPUs. I think we might have seen the news of how US regularly tries to block GPU supplies to China and all of those things. So compute is also another challenge. I think having a good infra for India for compute in India is very important. The third thing is challenge because of these AI experiences being concentrated in a handful of companies, in handful of organizations, a handful of countries. It has been there's a lack of people who actually deeply understand these technologies. Today, I think a lot of the developers know how to use AI, but there's still a lack of people who can actually build AI, who know how to curate data, who know how to train these large models on distributed systems, who know how to deploy it inference such that inference cost and inference speed is optimized. Uh, so I would say these three are the major challenges, which is sort of slowing India down when it comes to getting a truly sovereign AI. So but just on a good light, I would just also want to share the different sectors where India is adopting AI. Starting with governments, I think governments, we have seen over the last few years that governments are very proactive in trying to use AI in order to reach out to the masses, to bring out messaging, to just make sure that the information they provide is accessible to everyone, and no one is withstood from information just because they don't know English or Hindi or one of the major languages. Businesses and organizations are using AI to gather feedback at scale. Obviously, internet made you through internet now we are able to reach back to the organizations. We like, let's say I buy products from some company and I want to give a feedback. But prior to AI, it was very hard to sort of analyze this data because you are getting different feedbacks from different sources, from different languages, from different modalities. How do you even compile it and get useful insights out of it? So I think AI in 2025 is enabling it. That's a good thing. Uh, Although we talk a lot about LLMs, but we have seen in India the emergence of small language models, which are like domain specific, very efficient, and targeted, and are built for targeted use cases. Two examples to put, which I put in here. Sesame is an LLM which was built by Sarvam AI and in collaboration with Setu, which is a Pine Labs startup. So and that LLM was totally focused on or was domain fine tuned for finance. So they use it in various products of theirs. Similarly, our friends at Kisan AI have Dhenu, which is a uh, LLM built for agricultural use cases, and it allows farmers to chat and get information regarding agriculture. So that's another good thing which we are seeing emerging out. Content creators, I think, are one of the biggest users of AI. I think you might have already seen a lot of YouTubers, popular YouTubers, shifting to AI-based technologies to improve their productivity, to make their content accessible. So that's another sector where we are seeing AI usage being picked up. And finally, I think contact centers. I guess all of us probably have this love-hate relationship between how we get all those spam calls from contact centers, everything automated. But although these are a lot of those are spams, but from if you take a different perspective, you see that it allows automation. Like humans cannot do thousands or 10,000s of call every day, but if you have it in an automated system, you can call lakhs of people in a single day and get information or provide information to them, run analysis and everything. So this just makes the accessibility at population scale of India very easy. So I will just close this particular slide by saying that India has already started using and adopting AI, but just because of the population it still has a long way to go. And I think that is the theme for us in Sarvam. That is the theme for multiple other organizations building AI out of India. So there's a huge opportunity for us to get involved and just work on this. So now I would want to come to text to speech a bit because that's what I work on. To give, I think text to speech is one of those technologies which are not as popular as, let's say, LLM or even ASR. Because if people who have worked on I think anyone who has worked on ML, they probably might know a model like Whisper. So if both LLM and Whisper are very popular models, but you probably might not know very popular text to speech model. So open source information on text to speech is much more limited as compared to ASR and LLM in my point of view. So maybe I will just give you a very quick intro on what a TTS is. But before that, I want to just convince you why TTS is actually important in a world where we are envisioning voice first multilingual interfaces to interact with AI. Like from a product perspective, AI should not just be a uh, tool, but it should also provide delightful experience. I mean, I think all of us here value user experience. We choose product A over B, even if A is slightly worse than B, as long as the experience there is much better. So experience, it has been seen again and again that experience is a very important factor in order to enable adoption, in order to enable scale. So and how would experience come? So in a voice AI stack, which contains an ASR, an LLM, and TTS. LLM is the part which sort of does the reasoning, which is sort of the brain of the whole system. ASR is more of the perception unit, which sort of takes the input from the outside world and sends it to the brain. But TTS is the one which actually sends the information back to the user. So so TTS is sort of the component which sort of closes the loop, and making it very good is very important in order to help the user out. So it's not just about the accuracy of the task which has been asked, but it's also about delivering it in a way which is which in which the user actually expects. You don't want a AI system to just speak robotically to you and say that robotically to you. You actually want to feel like you want the systems to make a perception that they actually feel you, they understand you, they empathize with you. Because of all of these reasons, TTS becomes a very important part, although has been something which has been neglected slightly as compared to LLM and ASR. But as we are building towards products, it's very evident that TTS is a very important part in building in bringing out this voice first interfaces for AI. Uh, what is a TTS? At the simplest level, it is just a model which takes text as input and generates audio of a person speaking that text. Uh, this is the very simplest example, but it goes beyond it. If you just think of it from a more advanced level, you would want a lot of control there. So let's say if you train a model with multiple speakers, you also would want to control which speaker is speaking. For example, our models so far support, like the model which we have released on API, it supports 6 voices. I just don't want to give it the text. I also want to say which particular speaker to speak, because every speaker have their own nuances, and every speaker is suited to different use cases. Language is another. Like we don't want to have different models for different languages. We want a single model to support all the languages. So how to control these languages as well? Beyond that, obviously, there's a control of emotion, pace, pitch, style, persona. You can do any like all the levels of control which you want to bring. So it's not just text, but also these level of controls. And if you think from an even higher level of control, uh, 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 you can think of things like voice cloning. Like you don't just want to use the 6 speakers which we have provided. You want to customize it to the speaker. You want to to a speaker which you like to yourself, let's say, to your voice or to your brand ambassador, someone like that. There are things like how can we control TTS through natural languages. So when I said of all of these language, emotion, pace, pitch, it's very hard to individually set elements of the, like what should be the emotion, what should be the pace. It's hard to set things individually. But what if you can just give a natural language prompt like, hey, I want you to speak like a customer care agent who is serving a very angry customer. So please empathize with them and feel and try to pacify them. So if you go into the natural language space, you are able to then give much more richer instructions to that models. And even a further level to that is TTS, which can implicitly learn and use the emotions correctly depending on the context of what has been spoken, what is to be spoken. So on a different levels, TTS, when you start from the basics that it's a text in speech out model, it seems simple. But if you just go into the nuances of it and build higher level of controls, you realize that it's a much harder problem. Uh, so that's like just a reflex image, pictorial representation of what I mentioned. That it's just a black box. Just think of it as a black box which takes in all of these texts and control parameters. And at the end, what you get is just an audio. Uh, in next few slides, I will just try to unlock this black box a little. Uh, so what pre-LLM TTS models look like. So this is not, when I say of this slide, this is not about models prior to 2010. These are the themes of models which existed between 2017 to 2020 before the before the picking up of large language models. And even then, sort of, there were two school of thoughts. One is autoregressive models and non-autoregressive models. Autoregressive, as we know, people use RNNs and transformer-based models to generate per timestamp audio. And in non-autoregressive models, just to improve the inference speeds and effectiveness, they used a parallel decoding method where they took the whole, where they generated the whole audio at once. But across the two, one of the common themes was that melt spectrograms were used as the intermediate representations. So these models would not generate the audio directly. They will generate something called a pictorial representation of the audio, which is spectrograms. And since you're getting spectrograms, then you needed another set of model called vocoders to take spectrograms and convert it to audios. So this era of models actually had more of a pipeline nature, where there was a first model to take text and generate the spectrograms, and then another model to take spectrograms to audios. And in pipeline methods, generally the errors, it's like the error from first model would propagate to second model, and all of those kind of complexities also happen. But the problem with this era of model was that limited flexibility. So these models were very limited, could not, first of all, these models were very small. At max, it would go to a few tens of millions of parameters, hardly 100 million parameter. Since this was so small and the architecture was so limited, it was also we could not use very large scale data sets with it. Often the largest scale of data with these models would go to 500 to 1,000 hours, which is not very huge. And since the data set was limited, the model was not able to learn the natural variations which a human speech should have. Beyond that, it was harder for these models to train on noisy, mixed, and diverse real world data, because one of the themes of this data, one of the themes of TTS is that TTS is a one-to-many mapping learning. Basically, let's say a sentence, "Hi, how are you?" This could be spoken in infinite different ways. So learning this one-to-many mapping is very hard, and these older school of models, they just relied on what we call maximum likelihood estimation. So it would not learn all these variations. It would just learn one way and it would just be with it. So these were not very good when it comes to learning the diversity of human languages. And since it was also limited, and one of the other impact of being limited by data was that it couldn't handle complex text like having numbers, dates, abbreviations that well, and often required a pre-processing module to normalize the text into words. So this was the pre-LLM era. Then new frontiers got unlocked over last couple of years with diffusion and flow models. I think people must have heard of DALI here, which was like one of the first, and also Stability AI. Like these two models, I think, were one of the first to bring out diffusion as a paradigm. Although diffusion had existed prior, has existed for almost 20 years now. But these new models actually brought it back to limelight and showed that that diffusion is actually a good choice when it comes to image generation and even audio generation, because both of these, unlike text, are in continuous domain and not discrete domain. So these models enable, so since these models with these models we were able to scale to larger data sets, larger models, and these models had a stochastic nature to it, which made it suitable to learn the one-to-many mapping. And what it resulted in was model being able to learn the natural variability in human speech. So what happened with this is that the models became much more expressive. It became much more human, and the quality improvement over the previous generation was massive. On And since you had now since these models we were able to train these models on much larger data, and effectively train, not just train but effectively train, because it was able to learn from larger data. We were able to just get more diverse in the wild data sets. You could just go to YouTube, scrape data from there, and you just use it to train model. So all of these enabled this model to learn broader variations of speakers, and the quality improvements were visible both in the low resource settings and high variation speech settings. But still, this sort of slowed down because either these models were more complex to train, or these models were not real time, and it often took because diffusion models and flow based models, they take multiple iteration at inference time to actually generate the whole output. So these were not real time. So although they were good for a lot of applications, but this also didn't this proved to but this didn't become the final thing. So next came the LLM revolution. Since LLM took off with text, people have started using LLMs for images and audios now as well. But since audios are continuous, the first innovation which had to come here was how to make audios tokenized to discrete units. So audio tokenization became something, and now we have models we can take a continuous audio and represent it in forms of tokens. And once we had that, people started actually using a pre-trained text model to train TTS. So people have gone ahead and used Llama for TTS. And this brings a very interesting perspective, because a pre-trained text model already has a lot of knowledge regarding regarding the language, let's say, regarding the emotions. So it already has a lot of information. So post-training it for a speech task becomes something easier, and it showed immense results, because the model was able to now learn on much larger data. It was able to learn multimodally, where you could train it with text and audio combined. Also, this because these models are not as complex to train, so model sizes grew up to billions of parameters, and all of the technique and so this enabled larger models and larger data sets, using of pre-trained knowledge. All of these were great advancements. Beyond that, all the techniques which we have seen for text are readily applicable to audio as well now. So you can train a very general model and then fine tune it for a particular speaker, and it works out fine, similar to what we do in text. You can do different level of prompt engineering to make a different kind of to change the behavior of the model. And even we have seen now papers and researchers trying preference alignment. So people, if you have heard of DPO, GPO, GRPO, all of these new things which are coming up, all of these are also something which is now applicable to TTS as a task, just because it operates on the same kind of models. So, so I think this is the route where LLM TTS, like where the TTS world is moving towards. It's moving towards having TTS, like using TTS straight out of a pre-trained LLM. It doesn't require you to engineer a lot of embeddings. It doesn't require you to create a lot of architectural changes. It just sort of works out of the box as long as you have the correct data. But again, this is not the although it has its advantages, there are still some challenges like slower inference and high resource demand for training. So there's still a trade-off, but it seems like this is the way where the world is moving towards. My focus on TTS is solving hard problems. There are multiple hard problems in TTS, which I think I have reflected through. I have reflected through over this talk. But like specifically, the challenges which I love to work on is how to have multilingual voices, or by relying on extremely small human data. So let's say I can speak Odia, but if I want to speak Tamil, how do I even train on it? I cannot go and record myself in Tamil. So how to do that? Secondly, making TTS sound more human. It is not just about speaking something, but also having that emotion, having differences, all of these combined. Uh, uh, Third thing which I love is controllable TTS. How can I tweak the input of the TTS OS to make it suit to my need? Should I do some prompt changes? Should I say model specifically that speak this particular line in a slow manner or in a fast manner, in a high energy manner or a low energy manner? So all of this controllability, how do we just get into these models? Uh, and one of the answers to that is putting world knowledge to TTS. So if you train it on very, very large and diverse data sets, the model would able to learn the different complexities and different realities of what should be spoken in what manner and when. So putting this world knowledge in TTS is something I love. That is a problem I'm solving right now. Uh, behind all of these research questions, there's also the product question, which sort of intrigues me that building model in isolation is not really something which we want. Everyone builds model, but what is actually important is to see how these models can integrate into products and ecosystems and actually reach to the masses. So so that was monologue on the TTS. Now coming back to India and the problems which India AI faces. One of the biggest thing is the linguistic diversity of India. So I will give you some perspectives of why it is important to solve the linguistic diversity of India through AI. Perspective of an user. Uh, in India, less than 20% of the population is comfortable or is readily comfortable with English. English is not the main uh, channel of communication in India. This disqualifies most of the LLMs which are built by Google, OpenAI, or something. Although they are getting better in Indian languages, they are not there yet. But it's just not about English. It's also about all the other languages. In India, there's no language which can say that they represent the majority. Everyone is sticking to their like everyone. People from different states are comfortable in different languages, and this sort of this behavior sort of magnifies when you even go to more rural parts of these areas. So it's not like a single language is enough. But what is also good for India is that India is a major adopter of technology. We have 900 million Indians which use internet on the daily, which are access to internet. We are using internet very robustly, very regularly, and India has good adoption practices when it comes to tech. When it comes to tech. Uh, with all of these in mind, we know that AI is going to be a major technology for daily life, and to make it effective for Indian masses, it has to be in their language. And I think we also have a responsibility as technicians, as technology builders, as researchers, as students, as engineers, that we make sure that the Indian masses are not left behind in the improvements to quality of life which the AI would bring. As everyone says that AI is the new electricity. That's a very perfect reflection of how AI is going to be a very crucial part of human life in upcoming decades. But we need to make sure that the Indian masses are not left behind to bear the fruits of this advancement. This is from a perspective of user. From a perspective of organization, every organization, be it government, be it some businesses or companies, be it individuals, they want to use AI to improve their offerings. We are actively seeing people trying to use AI to see how they can improve their products, their offerings. They want to improve their reach. They want to reach to new demographics. They want to reach to new people. They want to create new consumer bases. But a lack of multilingual medium has restricted these organizations to a certain demographic. Like for an example, if you see advertisements and all, you don't see advertisements of let's say luxurious brand, let's say in languages other than Hindi or even English. So how do these companies use multilingual mediums to reach out to larger masses is something they always think about. But it's not just about the outward thing, like how to reach out, but also to the inward thing on how to analyze. Since people are getting, thanks to internet, these organizations are getting data from so many different sources, feedback from so many sources. How to analyze those and derive good insights from those is a major problem which we have to solve. because at the end of the day, the goal is to have less friction between organizations creating products and services and the adoption of these by the users. So this is the perspective of from an organization. Uh, and finally, the perspective of from an Indian representative that like first of all, the thing which we know is that English datasets are not the best representation of Indian languages and nuances. These datasets are not the original sources. English datasets are not the original sources. The meaning, the intent is generally lost when you translate. We have already and training on these sources leads the model to be very biased. We have seen examples where LLMs are not very accurate when they are asked about India. So to support the diversity of India, we need AI to support not only the languages but also the dialects. So it's not just that this knowledge is locked within different languages, but also in different dialects. For example, if I take Hindi only, there are so many different dialects ranging from Bhojpuri in Bihar to Marwari in Rajasthan. So there are so many dialects which we have to support. Uh, uh, Although with internet adoption in India, the English usage also skyrocketed because English had been the major language of internet. But I think with this AI, with multilingual AI, we are in a unique opportunity where we can increase back the native language usage. And I think people, and that is something which I think people, that is an idea which I think people overall are supporting. Multilingual AI will also lead a way to digitize and preserve the centuries old knowledge, which is now locked in just regional languages. There are so many, for example, works of literature in Odia. We don't want it to get lost just because the world moved to a English world, right? So a true Indian AI should work with the diversity of India. It should work. It should represent the diversity of India, and that for me is a area where I don't want to compromise. So so I think with these three perspectives, I was able to give you a view of why language diversity is very important. Linguistic diversity is very important for representation in India, for an AI which needs to work for India. I will just show you some use cases regarding how to sort of reflect on how a multilingual AI can help. So let me play
नमस्ते,
this.
मेरा नाम लक्ष्य है और मैं टाटा कैपिटल से बोल रहा हूँ। क्या मैं राहुल जी से बात कर रहा हूँ?
हाँ कौन तू?
मेरा नाम लक्ष्य है और मैं टाटा कैपिटल से आपके लोन परचेज के बारे में बात करने के लिए फोन कर रहा हूँ। क्या मैं राहुल से बात कर रहा हूँ?
हाँ कौन तू कौन ला?
टाटा कैपिटल चुनने के लिए शुक्रिया और टाटा कैपिटल परिवार में आपका स्वागत है। यह कॉल ट्रेनिंग और क्वालिटी के लिए रिकॉर्ड किया जा रहा है। आप किस भाषा में बात करना चाहेंगे?
ओडियारे कथा ହେଇପାରିବା।
ଦୟାକରି ଭଲ ଭାବେ ଶୁଣନ୍ତୁ ଏବଂ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଲୋନ୍ ଇନଫର୍ମେସନ ଚେକ୍ କରନ୍ତୁ। ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ରେଟ୍ 10% ଅଟେ। ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଲୋନ୍ ଆମାଉଣ୍ଟ 1,00,000 ଟଙ୍କା ଏବଂ ଲୋନ୍ ଟେନ୍ୟୁର 5 ବର୍ଷ। ଆପଣ
Okay, so in interest of time, I will just cut it short. But this was an example of a bot for Tata Capital who can which can call people and remind of their loans and all. And just imagine the power that now they can call in, they can use the AI. So right, even now we get calls in Udia. But they are generally humans who are involved in calling hundreds and hundreds of people every day. But if AI unlocks this multilinguality, people can organizations can use that scale of lakhs of call every day. So it just increases the accessibility from the organization side, but also from the perspective of user. Now, since they are listening someone like they have a medium where they're getting information in Odia, it just unlocks a capability that they can just understand the use cases, they can understand the product in their own native language. So that's a very interesting opportunity. I'll just play. Oops. I'll just play another example for you, which probably for a few of you might already have seen, but I'll just play.
से क्यों विचार अछि जहाँ भारत को एकजुट करे एक राष्ट्र भावरे भारत कोण अटे से को मौलिक विचार अछि जहाँ एही समस्त अलगा अलगा समाज संप्रदाय एवं संस्कृति गुड़ी को एकत्र करे आपण को कोण लगे
ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ଭାରତ ଏକ ସାଂସ୍କୃତିକ ପରିଚୟ ଅଟେ। ସାଂସ୍କୃତିକ ହଜାର ହଜାର ବର୍ଷ ପୁରୁଣା ସଭ୍ୟତା। ଭାରତର ବିଶାଳତା ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ So
Okay, so I'll cut that short as well in the interest of time. But like the context of this is that recently Lex Friedman, who is a renowned AI researcher, AI professor, and a podcaster, he came to India and had a very engaging talk with PM Modi, which was released originally in English and Hindi, but we took an attempt to get it dubbed in all the other languages, and just see the power that uh, now this enables people to reach out to masses in new ways. Obviously, Modi and Lex could not have conversed in Odia here, but how can we make this information? How can we make this information available to a uh, to a rural village in let's say Bhadrak, where I come from, where people are probably not that well versed in English or Hindi. This is the way. That's so. Voice. So with these examples, I hope I was able to convey or reflect why like whatever I've been mentioning about multilingual AI and voice, why is it important? I probably have been able to make a case that it is actually the case. It's not just words, but through use cases, we are showing that this is a very powerful unlock. So, okay. Uh,
so
Sec-
I will move to the last part of almost the last part of our of my talk. I think I've been talking a lot about TTS, about AI in general, about the need of multilingual and sovereign AI. So I wanted to just end with what how Sarvam AI is contributing towards this effort. How me and my team have been working, have been envisioning AI for Bharat. So there are multiple missions. I will list down a few of these. First and very important mission for us is sovereign AI for India. Uh, Nations and organizations across the world are now treating AI as an arms race. People are creating monopolies. People are restricting GPU or knowledge transfer to other countries. And now in this arms race, although personally I feel this is not a good thing, AI development or any tech development should be communal. It should be shared. It should have the ethos of sharing. But it is what it is. And if that's the case, then India needs to have a representation in this race. We cannot afford to be left behind and just rely on Western nations or China 5 year or 10 year down the line. Uh, and this is not just not just as a nation, but also the organizations that they need to keep up with the frontier AI. We cannot keep relying on GPT-2 when GPT-5 is around the corner. We cannot keep relying on older methods of ML when newer methods are making breakthroughs every week. So it's not just about building this AI, but also being well versed with this AI to understand how these frontier technologies are being used, to understand how these frontier technologies are being created, so that we don't just use it, consume it, but we also build it out of here. Uh, Third thing, data. I think data is something which is a very complex topic for everyone. Uh, we in today's climate, I think companies want their data to be private. Individuals want their data to be private, and I think as a country as well, countries want the data to never leave their boundaries. So the answer. So if you're using GPT, obviously the servers are based on in America. If you're using GPT, your data will go there, and we don't have control how these organizations or the governments will use the data. So it becomes very important to keep data safe in within our boundaries. And fourthly, uh, because we study about or we see all these examples about biases and all. For AI to be optimized for Indian use case, it has to be free from biases which reflect the non-Indian viewpoints and which stems from generally English data set, English sources of data. So this I think is the main funda or main inspiration behind why a sovereign AI is something which is a requirement for India for in this decade. And just as we mentioned before this news flash, we have taken a major step towards this mission, and Sarvam AI has been chosen for India AI mission by Government of India yesterday. So, and we'll be building home. We were already building homegrown foundational models, but under this mission, we'll now get even more support from the ecosystem to make this dream a reality. Mission two, we need to build AI that represents India. And as the thesis of my talk has been, an AI for India will have to be in India's own languages. Uh, but it's not just about language and the usability factor, but also pricing. The economics of West is vastly different from economics of India. How many of us can actually afford $20 a month for ChatGPT Pro? That's just not something that is not something which Indians want to pay. I don't pay that much. So we need AI to be priced at India level so that Indian users, Indian builders can use it and use it at that scale. So it's not just about what we enable, but how we enable and how we price it. And it's talking about how we enable. It's not just about having something present in chat GPT like chat.xyz.ai. It's also about how do we unlock applications where most of the users reside. Most of the like okay, probably not most, like a lot of Indians probably don't even know what chat.xy is or chat.xyz.ai is, but they know what is WhatsApp is. They know what a phone call is. So we are trying to or they know what a mobile phone is. So the point which I'm trying to make here is that we are also trying to bring AI to all these surfaces. How can a bot be efficiently deployed through WhatsApp medium? How can a bot be deployed, as the example which I showed with the voice call? How can it be deployed through telephony, where you can call a number and interact with AI? How can we make models which are privately native to the edge devices, so that the model completely runs on your phone and your private data never leaves your phone boundaries? Uh, and at the end, all of these components I think are required to build applications which serve population scale use cases, which is a very important factor to serve 1 billion plus population which we have. Uh, Mission number three, keeping up with cutting edge. So it's not. So although we are in building mode, but it's also important for us to keep understanding and evolving the frontier technologies which we have, which the world is building. For example, RLHF is something which sort of blew away the whole AI research scenario over the last few months. But like if we want to build such models, we also have to understand how to use this. So it's not just about building something; it's also about keeping up with the research, what is happening, innovating on the top of that to see how to make models which fit in our which fit to our constraints, our requirements, while taking help of all these technology innovations which are happening across the globe. So it's not, and it's also about enabling more people to be experienced with this technology. It's not like that we want Sarvam to be the only company which is building or the only organization which is building AI. We want to also enable others. We have, for example, we have different collaborations with IIT Madras. We have recently launched a scheme, Sarvam Fellows, where PhD students are working with us. So it's not, so it's enabling other people as well to learn how this frontier tech is evolving. So that's another reason. Mission four, I would say, AI. So building AI for Bharat is not a one organization thing; it's a community effort. So sticking to the spirit of that, we realize that these models which we build, these cannot be just our models. So that's why we open source a lot of models. We provide our models in forms of APIs and platforms because we collaborate with different organizations like AI for Bharat, People Plus AI, NVIDIA. We do all these collaborations. The whole goal is to not just build from the perspective of Sarvam, but also enable others to build from their perspectives. So that is another part of our mission. So I think these four mission statements broadly encapsulates what we at Sarvam are working towards. Uh, and I will probably close it with discussing a bit on the future. What is how the future is looking. So AI in India, I think what we are seeing is rapid growth of AI research hubs, rapid growth of research startups. We are seeing innovations across sectors like healthcare, agriculture, fintech, education. People are very creative. People are getting very creative in using AI to build applications and solve major use cases for India. We are seeing active participations from government and private, both government and private sectors, like the Digital India Initiative, India AI Mission, a lot of collaborations with government and between government and private who are trying to bring this effort to its conclusion. So I think this will just keep on increasing. India, because it provides very unique opportunities in terms of vernacular, voice, languages, low research models. I think India will keep on innovating when it comes to those areas. So a lot of research out of India will come from the perspective of language, from the perspective of voices, from the perspective of smaller models. That I think is a route where we as a nation are heading towards. And India obviously has this advantage of a large talent pool with engineers and researchers. So a lot of people are now getting into AI. So all their energy and synergies combined, I think, is something which will lead India towards the AI goals which it perceives. Uh, Although with all of these, there are challenges which we are constantly fighting. Challenges around data availability, around computer infrastructure, around all the AI ethics and fairness. So while we keep on building all of these, there will always be these kind of challenges, both technical and non-technical, which I think as a community, as a nation, we are going to solve over as we keep on building. Uh, and maybe one last slide on how can you contribute. I think one interesting thing which I've been seeing in AI over the last couple of years is that AI is no more just about training and having like earlier. I think the thought was, hey, I am doing ML, I am just training model. But I think now the scope of ML and AI has improved so much that you can involve at any layer. You can be a data engineer or a data person who is collecting the data sets to train models on. You can be a model trainer who understands maths and model training so deeply that you contribute to model training. You can be even working on a lower level where you are working on CPUs or optimizing CPUs, GPUs, having better infrastructure, having better inference performance, better training performance. You can also be a product manager or someone who thinks from a product perspective, and rather than building these models, you build an application vertical over that. People are able to do it with prompts. People are with tools like Cursor and Windsurf. Everyone is now a sort of a coder. So and beyond all this technical and non-technical work, there's also you can be someone who is advocating or who is thinking from the perspective of what is the right way to use AI, what is the right problems to solve for India, what are the features which India's AI should have. So there are so many opportunities for anyone to contribute. They can be a backend engineer who are building ecosystem or applications across AI. They can be a prompt engineer. So I think there's endless possibilities now. You do not need to just be someone who trains a model. You can be involved in the AI ecosystem at any layer. So, so yeah, I think so. I would just say engage in the AI research. If you're a technological person, engage in AI research, read papers, contribute to open source projects. Very grateful for TFUG Bhubaneswar to organize this, to give this platform for this sharing of ideas. So I would just say that please keep on contributing to more of such platforms. You can be building scalable ethical AI solutions and solving real world problems. The goal is not just to build AGI. Obviously, there will be some people who are fascinated with AGI and will be trying to build that. But it's also equally important to solve sectoral problems like education, healthcare, agriculture, governance, all of these things. Uh, People who are already experienced, they can contribute by supporting the community, by providing mentorship, by helping people learn. Because at the end of the day, AI making AI successful for not just India but for the world has to be a collaborative job and not a competitive job. So we have to enable others. We have to we have to we should help them learn. We should help them see where they fit, and we should take their ideas and form this collaborative environment. A lot of us are entrepreneurs by heart. So people who have some interesting ideas, they should obviously go ahead, try to build things, try to build very cool stuff using all the things which we have, and that's another way to contribute. And finally, I think a collective goal, despite of you're a technological person, non-technological person, despite the layer on which you want to work, one of the collective thing for us would be advocating for responsible AI. We should have. It is very important for us, specifically in a country as diverse and as sensitive as India. We want to make sure that AI is being used in a responsible fashion. It's being used in a fair fashion, and it enables the users equivocally without any discrimination or bias. So yeah. So with that, I think that's end of my talk. I will be glad to take some Q&A.
Yeah, so that was a like very interactive session. Thanks, Himanshu. Like,
Thanks, thanks.
I have a dozen of questions today, and
Yeah.
we'll start picking one by one, and also people you can start putting up a question. There's a question from Anil that do you think that this recent tariffs from America will affect AI training and building landscape in a negative manner?
Uh, I mean, okay, I'm not really a person with, although I follow geopolitics and I'm saying this, I don't really have a very strong answer to this. Again, I think this is something which USA has been trying to do, taking like bringing that example again, where USA tried to force Nvidia to not sell to China, but still, I think Nvidia and China found a way. Uh, Again, I think I personally feel that the lack of or like the monopolies of building GPUs to certain countries and certain organizations is a net negative in a longer term. Although I see a lot of organizations and government in India saying that we will have our own GPUs and all. I don't know where it goes, how long will it take. Uh, so I hope it doesn't have a negative impact. Uh, uh, but let's see. I think although US and all like us countries, they have their own agendas. But if you just think from the Nvidia perspective, even their agenda does like even for them, it's better to actually keep on selling to everyone they can sell rather than just getting involved in geopolitics. It's a very hard question to answer with so many possibilities. So we can just see how it goes.
Makes sense. Makes sense. How will then Nvidia their business is going to go down if they just restrict to US? Okay.
Exactly, exactly.
From Shubham, he wanted to ask that how we used to train model earlier, or and voice LLMs, like how we it was different now and how we used to do that earlier.
Yeah, so the I think the major enablement over last 5 6 years has been these new architectures have made it easier for us to train on very large quality of data, a very large quantity of data. As I mentioned that earlier, the data sets used to be restricted to thousands of hours of audios. Now it is we are able to scale it to hundreds of thousands of hours and even millions of hours of audios. Uh, uh, with large volume of there's also a loosened like earlier this 1,000 hours had to be very carefully curated, had to be very clean, very well processed. That requirement has now loosened up because even from a text perspective, if you see if you are pre-training a model, a small room for error is fine. It's the fine tuning, like the model is able to just pick up the general patterns with the pre-training. So these kind of techniques have improved, and also like I think the third major enablement which happened not just for voice but for every other modality is just the scale of language of the models. These billion parameter models are so good in different world tasks that they are able to adapt to any new task very easily. And I think the fourth thing which I would say is that multimodality. Gone are the days where we are training text and images and audios in isolation. Now, if you are training every modality together, you are able to have this cross transfer of knowledge. So anything on text, you are able, like the model is able, model is learning both the text and audio tasks. So it's able to learn from both the modalities, and that sort of increases the model learning capacity itself.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, we have this next question from Apex. Could you tell me a little more about Sarvam AI startup, about their unique tokenization effort approach?
Okay. Okay, I think we mentioned a lot about Sarvam AI startups. So if you have something specific, I can answer take that as a follow up. Tokenization again has been something which is very important. The term which we saw for the longest period of time that GPT or even Gemini were not very good with Indian languages. Even today, they continue to struggle with certain Indian languages like Odia, for example, and a lot of it has to do with tokens. Generally, for English, we have much more efficient tokenization, which would mean that representing, like, let's say there's a 100-word English sentence and there's a 100-word Odia sentence. The English sentence can be represented in much smaller uh, tokens as compared to the Odia language. And this in turn means that since transformers are able to make all of these long-term connections and all, it was just more efficient on a language. It is generally just more efficient on a language which has better tokenization as compared to a language with always the tokenization is poor. So, I think we have released these models like Sarvam 2, Sarvam 2B, and earlier Sarvam 1. So, and there are blogs which have sort of mentioned, like we have also released the blogs where we have mentioned how one of the important factors for us to improve these models were to improve the tokenization. So, a lot of work went into that. I specifically was not part of that project, so I cannot reveal much there. but we can chat on this, and I could probably share some of the blogs which we have shared.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Let's move on to the next question. Shubham has asked that how do you train different dialects, like from the TTS
Yeah.
purpose?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to data. I think with all these AI advancements, beyond all these AI advancements, what has also improved is different pipelines for curating data, and internet has also enabled Indians to reach out or put content on internet. I think just taking an example of not dialect but a language, probably the amount of or the volume of Odia content on YouTube has skyrocketed in last 10 years. Similarly, if I just take an example of dialect like Marwadi, since I speak that language, uh, even Marwadi content, you wouldn't find a lot of Marwadi content 10 years back, but now you have. So I think at the end it's a function of data, and with all these new technologies, with all the advent of internet, the we are just able to get much more data now. Obviously, there are some more model side of things as well, but the major blocker here was data, and I think now that has been solved.
Great, great. I guess like at least if we talk about AI and LLM, these things, the data is the like 90% of what can
Much-
change things.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
cool. Moving on to the next question. I guess this is a feedback on your Odia demos. So people who have onboarded Mobus, they have heard that horrified Odia voice. This voice is very good in Odia, considering it's just a start.
Perfect. If anyone knows Mobus and how we can get like how we can deploy our models, please let us know.
Please reach out. We can just get our details there. Cool. Next question. Okay. The demos that you showed were amazing, but what do you think about the security? What if someone misused this voiceover? Especially we were
Exactly.
trolling. It was
Right,
being
exactly. I think that's very important point, and that's one of the reasons why, although we have built this technology, we haven't released this yet from a product point of view. We are still exploring the more product questions of this. We have the base version of technology ready, but it's a very important thing that we do not let people like since I mentioned about responsible AI as well. This is a very important factor that we want to minimize any chance of misuse. So I think that is less of an AI question and more of a product question. It depends on how we actually want to enable it to users. Right now, we have some answers. We are still exploring that. But for that particular use case of dubbing and all, uh, it's a complex issue. There are a lot of other TTS companies which provide voice cloning as well. There are a lot of research on things like watermarking and all, which can say that a particular audio was actually machine generated or is it something real. But even with all of these guardrails at place, it's very hard for it to not go out of hand. So I think the easiest way to think of it from a product perspective is you restrict it to certain users. You maybe do not give them as much control. You have a human in the loop or some system in the loop where you have that control yourself as well. So we'll figure out. But yeah, that's a very important point.
Yeah, I believe also like I really can't imagine if someone just uses my voice and then calls my parents. So with these in advancements in AI, I really have no idea how anyone is going to distinguish. Like
Yes.
for instance, the Tata Capital demo, the voice over
Yes.
on the bot was Himanshu's voice only.
Yeah.
Cool.
I am still hoping. I am still hoping that none of my parents get a phone from my voice and it turns out to be AI. That will be very awkward.
When did you started selling loans?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. I guess that's if anyone has any other questions, we can have this. Shubham is saying his thanks for all the insights and all. I guess with this we come to the end of today's session. We are good to
Perfect.
go to conclude. If anyone has any question, any chit chats, any feedbacks we can have, we will potentially move towards getting feedback from you. So yeah, that was all. Thanks, Himanshu. Thanks a lot for spending like around at least 2 hours with us today morning, explaining
Perfect.
us all about different things that has been in the Sarvam and all the TTS magic you have been brewing at there. Thanks a lot for
Great.
joining us. We hope to see you soon in another session as well.
Sure, sure. Thanks a
Thanks.
lot. Thanks a lot, everyone. Yeah.
Thanks everyone who is the audience. We loved your energy throughout the session. Beautiful questions, quiz participation. Everyone has been the top notch. We thanks a lot. One urge from our side, if you could just give us a feedback so that we would get an idea what to do next and what could have been better today, from our side, from the technology side, from the seeker sides. What further sessions you have? I will take a moment to thank some people who have been working at the band. They are not yet visible, but yeah, there we have. First, I would like to thank Saswat and Sanket. They are our organizer for TFUG Bhubaneswar. They have been working at back, maintaining all these live streams, getting speakers and all. I'd also like to thank Prince. He has been this all the design graphic thing that you see is made by Prince. Will like to thank Chakit. Would like to thank Komal, who has been a very great co-host for me today, and would like to thank Smriti Chakit for the back-end work. And at last, would like to thank every one of you who had joined the session, starting from Shubham, Dushmanta, Game Page, and we have various other people who were asking question. Amlan, I can see Amlan and all, Anil Kumar and all. Thanks a lot for joining today. One of the key things would be to please share feedback. And yeah, with that, we come to the end of today's session. Thank you, everyone. If someone has anything to share, we can have that in the chat, or we can just end wrap up.